Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a trade recap. Also probably going to yap a little bit towards the end. I'm just going to add some of my recent lessons and some value that I've learned recently in games. So let's get right into it. So going into today, um, starting the day off, we did have a bearish SMT on the daily. ES had taken this daily high. NQ hadn't at the time, so I was initially looking for shorts coming off of that SMT. So going into the morning, I'm really kind of just trying to stay patient and wait for a setup to appear. We then had this 5-minute displacement here. Why is my other executions not showing? Oh, I'm on the wrong account. So I'm copy trading 2 accounts right now. One of the accounts didn't execute on my first entry, so I ended up taking 2 losses right here. I can't show y'all that. Actually, wait, I can't. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so yeah, here's the second, or like the main leader account that I was copy trading off of, where I initially took my first 2 losses. Because at first, going into the day, let me go back again. We had this bearish SMT here. We got displacement. We had a lot of resting lows beneath this. This right here is Asia standard deviation ranges. Once we kind of got a rally off of, I'll explain more later on, but I wanted to see this be met. So yeah, going into the morning, so we had this strong 15-minute wick off the open. We got good displacement. We had an SMT here at this high. Pretty decent setup. Zoom into the 1 minute. Once we tapped it, I then zoomed into the 15-second. Once we tapped the 1 minute and then got this 15-second displacement here with the CISD, I really wanted to see us go and attack all of this resting sell side here. Just all of this, even London, Asia, like just all these stack lows. This was my targets at first, but ended up getting stopped out. Waiting for us to build more liquidity. We then got the same setup, which I usually like to take: liquidity sweep, inversion, fair value gap. Changing the state, also closed beneath the second fair value gap as well. So I'm not really mad at this setup either. And I'm gonna stop out really quick. Not mad at it. Then just took a step back, waited, watched price. Once we broke this SMT, I honestly wasn't planning on taking another trade just because of how going into this week I wanted to see us really kind of sell off. Just at, not even if we're gonna have a bearish week, but just to kind of build some structure to tell us what the rest of the week is going to do. Because whether we sell off or we pump this week, we have to initially rebalance, because we're at a weird spot right now where we've just been kind of getting bought up. Like, we have a lot of untapped liquidity here. So in order for price to make its next move, we still need to see lower price regardless. Now, if we see lower price and we continue to sell off, that's one thing, but we can also see just a liquidity sweep continue to run higher, but that would be the most ideal for this week, which is why once we started to rally and we were failing to displace lower after putting in the SMT imbalance, all that, I just stepped back. I was then watching ES as well because ES was the stronger pair. ES ended up meeting the standard deviation range, I believe, yes. ES ended up meeting the Asia standard deviation range. Why is this here? Okay. So yeah, once we ended up tapping that and I saw that ES was respecting it, that's when I started to look more into shorts again, especially after NQ had taken this initial internal high, because there really was no other liquidity to be kind of basing our buys off of going to the morning. This is just a big, let me go to the hourly. This is all just a lot of nothing, basically. No real resting liquidity. So we met the higher time frame standard deviation range. We didn't tap the Asia range, but ES did, which was enough to make me want to look to go back into potential shorts here. And this was my first entry. Now, this first entry was pretty early, honestly, and I was lower risk just because of that, but it is everything I usually look for, minus the liquidity sweep, but we are coming off of a higher time frame imbalance and a reason for price to reject. No, we had the higher time frame liquidity sweep in line. So yeah, it is slightly early. I usually don't take the first entry, but I took it with lower size, look to pyramid in. And then we had this really, really weird wick right here. Ended up, my P&L fluctuated very drastically in a matter of like 5 seconds. We had a 200 tick drop, 50 points. Like, it was weird, but I just ended up staying, holding through it. My first pyramid came once we closed below the 1 minute. I then moved my stop to break even after we got the inversion fair value gap change in the state. We also respected the inversion fair value gap. Because at first my initial stop was, where did my fill at? My fill was at the bottom. So my fill was here. Initial stop was right here. I was in 5 contracts. I'll show y'all my initial risk here. Initial risk was about $200 per account. With my target just being equilibrium of this range, because we did displace higher and I wasn't sure if we were going to continue to pump throughout the morning. So I really just wanted to see us go to equilibrium of this range here, resting at this, not 5 minute, this 1 minute imbalance, or yeah, the 2 minute imbalance here. That was my main first target. So targeting this low right here, which leaves me at a initial 3R risk to reward. So I'm risking 187 to make 562. Now what I ended up doing to maximize my profit on this trade is pyramiding. And pyramiding is essentially where I'm adding to my position to basically maximize my profit, but also at the same time I'm positioning my stop to where my risk is staying relatively the same. If not, it gets even smaller depending on the setup. Now I don't pyramid on every trade. Not every trade presents an opportunity to pyramid, but this one did, so I took advantage of it. Today's also a no news Monday, so I really wasn't even planning on it, but if the setup presents itself, then it's there. So I ended up pyramiding first once we closed below that 1 minute, because once you get an inversion like that, there's really no reason that price should come back above it. So now my stop is break even. Got this inversion. Added my first, how many contracts did I add if I can see? I added another 10 contracts. So I basically doubled down on my position, stopped to break even. Now my risk is essentially, where my fill get moved to? My fill's probably moved to like here. Stop was up here. So yeah, I had a break even stop, but now my new reward is $1,000. So my risk reward is doubled off of that initial pyramid. Now I'm still waiting. I'm being patient. Just letting price do its thing, not touching it. Then once we got, I honestly thought I was gonna get stopped out right here, but once I was noticing that price was failing to, because this is right where we tapped the 5 minute imbalance at. So we tapped this 5 minute where I was kind of like hesitant on even holding the position. I'll show you guys though. Once we tapped this 5 minute right here, we were getting some strong wicks. Keyword is wicks. The momentum really was failing to get that change in the state out of the 5 minute. Now, if we would have got this CISD right here with the inversion fair value gap, I would have got out. I would have closed my position and charged it to the game, because 5 minute imbalance, 15-second change in the state, clear bull model. However, all of these wicks here were failing to displace higher, and they were also failing to get any type of body closes above this bearish fair value gap, which was giving me more confirmation and just more confidence to want to hold this position after I was noticing that we were respecting consequent encroachment of this 15-second imbalance right here. Then once we got some displacement out of there, finally respecting it and stopped showing bearish momentum, that's when I pyramid. I added another 3 contracts. I honestly should have and could have added a lot more, because my stop was still, my fill ended up getting moved to like here, and then my initial stop was then gonna be above these wicks. So my stop loss was still in profit, so I could have honestly doubled down again, which would have probably quadrupled my profit. But you know, it's whatever. You live and you learn. I didn't want to add too much. I'm not trying to get greedy, and I'm just trying to manage my positions to where I know that mentally it works for me. So I added another 3 positions. So now I'm in 13 MNQ contracts, which is a little over 1 NQ contract. 1 NQ contract would be 10 MNQ. So I'm trading a little bit over one NQ contract. We got that first take profit level, then I wanted to see the rest go to these equal lows that we had here. And then this 15 minute candle low, because there was an SMT here. I was kind of hesitant on holding to it, but I noticed that price closed below this 3 minute here with good momentum. Macro was opening up. I didn't mind holding. Held to that 15 minute, got it. Then we ended up displacing lower. I just held to these 5 minute relative equal lows here because we did still have an SMT. You see ES never even tapped these lows. I was just being more careful. I didn't really want to look. I still do want to see like London and Asia low can probably get hit. Like you see all these session lows have not been touched. I do still want to see all that, but I just took what I could. I didn't want to be greedy. I'm not trying to catch the biggest moves. This was a pretty big trade, or like in terms of point wise. My first fill was up here. It's 550 ticks. That's a lot. My trades usually aren't that big. I was in this for 11 minutes. Made about $2,000 across both accounts, and I'm copy trading, so not a bad morning at all. And then some of the things that I wanted to touch on now that I got that out the way. Is I want to basically talk about just your mental health in trading and how important that is. And I'm not really talking in the sector of like battling depression or things like that. I understand that that's also a real case, but my kind of perspective or my direction that I want to talk about it in is slightly different. So I kind of want to go about speaking on just mental fatigue and how it can cause you to waste capital and take bad setups, which I have fell victim to. Actually, I might make this a separate video. Now I'm thinking about it, because I'm probably about to talk for long. How long have I been recording for? 12 minutes. I'm gonna actually make that second video. I'm gonna go more in depth. I'm gonna have notes and all that. Instead of just adding into this, I want to keep this at its own thing actually. So my apologies. I'm gonna make that separate video. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this trade recap. I'm gonna start getting back to doing these more often. I know that they make me a better trader just talking about them, and then also it can also provide value for y'all. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Catch you on the next video.